Welcome to another short take on this Friday before Mother's Day. All this week, I have been celebrating the moms that are very much a part of my life. In Proverbs 31, verses 26 and 27, Solomon said that she opens her mouth with wisdom and loving instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Brenda and I started very early praying for the spouses of our sons, that God would guide and direct their paths and use us to guide and direct their paths, and that whoever He had picked out for them as a spouse, that He would guide their paths and keep them pure and safe as well. Of course, back then we had no thought of just how crazy we'd be about our grandchildren and just how important our sons' wives would be in that arena. I got to tell you, they are awesome moms. And I find it very easy to celebrate them on this Mother's Day weekend. Proverbs 1, verses 8 through 9. Again, Solomon says, "Listen, my son, don't reject your mother's teachings, for they will be a garland of grace on your head and a gold chain around your neck." I guess that's why it was important to both of our sons that their mom was excited about and on board with their choices for wives. I can remember when Davey called us late one night and talked to us about Amanda and how he had met her on a blind date with a friend of his and how they were going to probably have to carry on a long-distance courtship. Well, that courtship turned into marriage. And most of you know the story of how Davey and Amanda were married for several years, and then about 4.5 years ago, Amanda was killed in a home invasion. In just 15 months of little Weston's life, she not only bore him and gave birth to him, but left indelible beauty marks on his heart and his life. We miss Amanda. We can't help but celebrate her life and memory just a little bit every time we see Weston and that smile. But when Christy came into Davey's life, she and her daughter Natalia won our hearts over very quickly. Her adoration and love for Davey was so incredibly obvious, but naturally, we wanted to watch and see what kind of love and motherly instincts she would show toward little Weston. As grandparents who were close to the hurt and yet we were removed by geographical distance from Davey and Weston, we were probably prone to worry a little bit too much at that time. But any worry was quite a waste of time, because it has been nothing short of remarkable to watch just how she has stepped into the pain of Davey and Weston's lives, bringing no small amount of her own pain to the dance. And yet leaning on the Lord and receptive of the help of others and being completely honest and open with each other, their relationship as a couple and a family has become a beautiful thing to witness. Weston absolutely adores Christy. And it's fun to see Weston and Natalia, his new sister, get along so well. It's fun when we have the grandkiddos here at our house to hear both of them talk so lovingly about their mommy, Christy. Weston and Natalia are not the only ones who are crazy about Christy. Brenda and I are pretty crazy about her too. And we celebrate Christy Blackburn on this Mother's Day week. We are so grateful for you, Christy. And then Tessa, Jonathan's wife, our younger son. When we got a call from Jono at college, he invited us to come down and take him out to eat and meet a very special girl that he'd been getting to know. Now, what knowledge we had of Jono at that time, we thought, well, okay, this probably isn't going anywhere, but we certainly wanted to see our son and didn't mind going down and buying a meal. We weren't far into that meal until we were praying that Tessa would be the one. She is an incredible young lady, down to earth, easy to talk to, loving. She is an intellectual scientist that has great conversation with those of us that know nothing about science. Now, that's not easy to find, but she still knows just how to lovingly keep Jono's feet on solid ground and encourage him. And I remember Brenda and I driving home that night and talking and praying that Tessa was the one for Jono. Now, honestly, the only downside for us was that both of them said that they weren't sure that they ever wanted to have kids. And they repeated that sentiment a few times after they were married. So obviously, we almost fell off our chairs when we got that phone call a couple of years ago telling us that they were expecting their first bambino. Along came Asher. Asher is such a delightful and fun little dude, full of life and fills everyone around him with smiles. Brenda and I just had 4 days a couple of weeks ago with Asher alone, and just finding out what a wonderful little guy he is. And we just found out recently that Jono and Tessa are expecting another son. I got to tell you, we are so blessed to get to be grandparents to Asher and whoever his baby brother will be. And we are so blessed to be grandparents to Natalia, our little princess, and to Weston, and to baby Cohen, Davy and Christy's little bambino. And those grandchildren are so blessed to have Tessa and Christy as their moms. Even though at the beginning of this short take I used the phrase, our sons' wives, we are far from seeing Tessa and Christy as just that. God has given us a love for them as though they were our very own daughters. Now, they're not. That would be weird and not to mention illegal, but we love them in that way. We're so proud of them as women of God, and we are so blessed to be their parents-in-law. Church, I love you, and I encourage you to celebrate the moms in your life this weekend. I encourage you to thank God, even for the moms that bring more bad memories than good. We're all human. We all deserve grace. And we all need the love of Jesus and the love of our children. God bless you, church. Have a great Friday.